So thank you everybody for showing up to this January 20th. It is Martin Luther King's Day. I didn't know if it was too much of a or too big of a holiday. I know it's a big holiday, so I'm not saying if it's too big, but for people to not show up. So I just decided to let it fly. And if people show up, they show up. If they don't, they don't. But I'm glad people did. There's something new that I definitely want to show you guys with the contact form that you can create through our system. If there's anybody that knows that form well, it's Rick, using it as like a lead magnet, if I'm not correct. Correct me if I'm wrong. So now with this newfound lead magnet, we can do something else. So let me get to my test. That was counterproductive. All right, so everybody's familiar with the lead magnet. I don't want to assume everybody knows what it is. Maybe Jolene, have you heard of what that concept is? But at the end of the day, it is something kind of how you get the donkey to move forward, right? You got to have a carrot, and LegalShield has a couple of carrots available in the form of PDFs, things that talk about will preparation, right? I'm trying to think of another one. Will preparation. Isn't there another one that they got, Rick?
The stages of life is one that I use
That's the one that you
as
use.
well.
Okay.
hmm
So having those available, well, and then where do you put these? Do you put these on? I know it's hosted off your website, but do you share the link through social medias, through your events that you guys do, things like
Yeah,
that?
pretty much. Yeah, all of the above. It's the kind of thing where you can do a social media post, and the social media post that you do is about something that's pertinent. Let's say, hey, are you reversing roles with your parents now? That can bring up all kinds of things in your life. Here's something you can do. If you'd like the PDF that talks about that, click here.
Okay. So that definitely is, I like the intro to that one, but essentially you have to host it, right? Now, if
hmm
nobody has hosting or doesn't have a website, I would definitely lean on Google Sites, right? Because it's a place where you get access to sites with simply just having a Gmail. So this has kind of been an easy way to put your contact form, and then you can dress it up and put all kinds of stuff to make it look good. But let me see. Let me see if it most likely have to open a drive. Perfect. Okay. So to create this contact form or this lead magnet, you can find it by going to settings, go to connections, and we will go to website and build a contact. So there's a couple of things new with this page. One, you will be able to save different contact forms. Before you just had the ability to build it, and then once you did build it, you could save the code. However, when you needed to go make a change, you kind of had to go back into it, do all the settings again, because if you weren't too familiar with editing the code to make your changes, well, then you're most likely stuck like Chuck, and you'll have to go through this whole thing. So now what you can do is you can save multiple, and I've already done, I don't want to say hundreds, but like close to like 20, 25, 30 of them for different clients, helping them create multiple different forms for their website. So this isn't in the form of a lead magnet. This is more like in real estate, they have a buyers, they have a sellers, and then so they built two different forms. And with this new little feature, you can actually do some new things. And so creating a contact form is simply just create, give it a name. I'll go test 3. You can put in a description if you want, like if it's from your website, if it's from somebody else's website, if it's from a specific page to a website. I highly suggest to put that so that with the form, you can immediately kind of understand which page this is instead of having to open up each and every one page and kind of figure out what's going on. So, to simply just show the new feature, but at the same time, kind of show you what you can do with this. So you get a title that you can use. You can also use a header, right? And so to preview it, this would be the header if I'm not correct. Yep, please enter and then please share your contact, and then let Miriam in. And then we've got some tracking fields, right? So this is good to maybe set up a referral source. So if you have a referral source like website, that would probably be good to use. If you're using this in a specific place, like on a Facebook page or something like that, that might be a good referral source to have. You can also create a specific referral source just for this form. That way you know exactly the channel in which these people are coming from. You can also set up a group, right? So you can set up any of these. Now I know it's labeled as a group, but that's just like the hard-coded name for it. But for us, it's plans offered chosen. So with plans offered chosen, you'll see these options here. Now, all of these options can be used to trigger, right? So that that's something that you want to keep in mind, because if you wanted to automate a follow-up email, a follow-up action plan, you can. And that definitely is helpful. Buyer and seller, that is the status category. So all of these categories will show up. If you needed to make a custom category just for this one, you can by just going to the bottom, manage items, and then of course insert it, and then you'll be able to, you might have to refresh in order for it to appear, but you can now use that. If you are hosting this on a specific website, you can actually put in the URL here. That way that shows up in, I think in one of the contact form, you'll see that it has that link. That way you can always refer if it's a listing on your website, or not a listing, but if it's a website page or if it's an ad URL, you can go ahead and use that. You can check whether if you want to capture the phone, the email message. Obviously, I would highly suggest that. These aren't obligated, right? So nobody has to put in anything. So a way that we kind of insinuate that is by maybe putting a star in the beginning or at the end, right? That way it gives the notion that it is required, although if they don't, they'll probably see, oh, it still took my information. But I would highly suggest to put a star to kind of get people to put that information, right? Because what you want to do is you want to capture as much information about the person. That way you can phone call them, you can send them an email. If they want to leave a message, they can. So with these ones, if you wanted to put a special message like please leave a message, you can say something like that and end it in a period, and then it shows. This will actually show in a gray, so they can't really do with this, but they can put their information there. So if you wanted to use a little bit of a different verbiage, you can. There's no problem with that. Just go ahead and retype it here. And then with this one for the property fields, the ones that I've used that the person isn't, he doesn't have a property website. What he has is a dog obedience kind of website. So I checked this and I did the zip and I did the city. Sorry, close these ones, because what he wanted to capture was where these people were. And by having a city and a zip code, he can see how far from him these people are. That way he can better maybe suggest a different service. If they're 3-4 hours away from him, it's probably best to find somebody a lot closer. If not, he has to talk to them about there's an additional charge if you're 25 miles outside of his radius. And so that's where we would use this. I don't think a bedroom, bathrooms, price for you guys is anything important. However, you can put a message like, please leave your city and state, or please note your city and state. That way they're at least queued to do so. Now to talk about the new, right? This is where you can actually set up drop-down fields, and these fields will appear in all of the extra categories that are just text information, right? So here they will appear, and as you start to use them, they will start to not be, so you can only use it once in the form. You can't use it again, and you only can use the ones that are text fields. And what you would be doing is multi-purposing that field, right? So I selected the status one. I think usually what comes in this information is like active, canceled, right? But if this is a lead magnet, or if this is being used as a lead magnet and it's just to capture information, what you can do is you can delete this and you can actually give it a different name. And so, what are some questions that you guys, I guess, do you have a family? Oops, let me type this correctly. Do you have a family? Now, why would we want to ask that question? Because if they do have a family, well, then they might want to have a different plan, if I'm not correct, right? We've got other plans. So here you can put a simple yes, and you can set up a simple no. So now when we see this form, not only will it have your title, it'll capture all their information, allow them to put in a message, capture their zip code and city. But now you can have this drop down menu where they can select yes or no if they have a family or not. And you can do this with all kinds of stuff. So that's one. We can add another
You can
drop
put
down
your
menu.
Tinder affiliate link in there.
You can put what?
Your Tinder affiliate link if they don't have a family.
Oh, yeah, looking looking to make one. That's definitely one thing you could do. Now, what are other questions? Do you have a will, right? Is maybe something. So at the end of the day, you can set these up depending on what the lead magnet is, or depending on what the contact form is for, right? You can basically utilize these categories. You can delete what shows up because it just imports what you already have there. And then so if you're going to be doing now for you guys have a lot of additional fields, right? There's a lot. Like when I counted this for real estate, they have like maybe like six uh text categories that they could use. But for you guys, there's a lot, right? There's just an additional. And so what you can do is you can put, well, this is where you can edit, but here you can put like, so like with the status one that I was using, you can put a slash, uh, do you have a family question mark? And then if you hit save, you can't use a special character. And so now you'll know that it'll be, once this person, let's say, turns into a legal shield or one, not a prospect, but one of the associates or has selected a plan or something like that, then you most likely would make it, edit this information, probably import whether if they're active or not, that kind of thing. But for at least capturing this information, it's going to land there. So you might want to take this and move it over to a note, keeping it clear, and of course, editing the information to where it's, as a like you're servicing this member. But at least for capturing this information, you can multi-purpose these, and you can do essentially you can kind of look through all your categories and see which ones, the ones that aren't dates, obviously it's not going to allow you to select those, but let's see which ones. These are all phone numbers, numbers of plans, like these ones, it'll show up the PA name, the LA name, access, yes or no, all of these that we see here, they're going to be in that list here. And then so first contact, just go ahead. You're going to see that they all show up in this list here. So even address 2, address 3, wouldn't maybe suggest to use address 2, maybe 3, because 3 rarely has information. So that one I don't see as being a problem. Annual premium, I don't think is a problem. Associate number / comments, I don't see an issue with these. However, once they do become, you most likely want to edit this information so that you can then leave it blank so that whether if they don't have it or not, because some people have action plans triggered on whether if they have a number in the CDLP or not, whether if they have a legal plan number. So if you leave whatever the lead magnet captured, it would, I guess, give a false reading. So that you want to be mindful of. But you got a lot. I would say you guys, out of all the customers, have the most additional extra categories that you can use. And this essentially is just to get more information out of them. And then that way, obviously, you can, with that insight, better suggest things for them. Maybe once you see them come in, you can then maybe give them specific emails that have those things like family plans. Trying to think of, depending on the questions that you have. So I'm thinking of one like, do you have a will? So if your lead magnet already isn't specific to a specific topic, well, then I think this question would be good. But if it's not, then you can make these specific, right? Specific questions based on, and then this one, once again, this can be a yes or no. And of course, you can edit these as you wish. You can delete them. You can change this. Please select some of these options. Let's see what the form looks like so far. Now you can see that this submit button is off to the left. Good thing is we can adjust that by going to right here. This is description. Here's the button. We can make this in the center, the description position. We can probably go to the center as well. There's these other options. If so, this is like a pop-up form. So when you see it, obviously, no, this isn't a pop-up form. I apologize. This is a form that when you go to the website, it'll be just listed there, but you do get other options. So you can do a pop-up form, you can do a page contact form, and you can also do like a button select. So the way that this one works is you could have like a full graphic stuff talking about specific points of the lead magnet, and then click below, something like that, right? And then this is what it would look like. You would have basically a button that once you clicked it, it would manifest into this form. And then so depending on who does your website or if it's you or not, that would be something to play around with. But this is the form at hand. You can do pop up on the first visit only, right? So you'd have to do this pop-up form. So if you didn't want it to be too of a nuisance every time they show up to it, if this was for your website. Now you could also use this as like sign up, like so you have a website and then sign up for my newsletter, right? So every time somebody goes to your website, they get hit with, would you like to sign up to my newsletter? That's pretty common. I get that with a lot of online stores and things like that. They're usually offering some type of discount, something along those lines, and sign up to our newsletter, things like that. Dismissible pop-up, I'm not sure. If not selected, the pop-up will not go away until the user submits data. Okay, so that works. So if people obviously come to your website, it pops up till they put their information, this won't go away. So basically you would check that or not, whether if that's how you wanted it to function, which I could see how that would be useful to keep them locked in, force them as much as possible to put in their information. That way you obviously capture that stuff. That's what the main gist of it is. You can change colors. I don't know if you know about this, but there's a little button here that you can actually switch between the different types of methods, right? So depending on whichever one you're more familiar with, you can use that. They got this little whatchamacallit thing where you can actually go and pick the color through. And then is that something that it allows you to? Nice. So if you had some graphic or something like that and you wanted to copy the colors from that, you can hit this little ink dropper, I think is what it is, and then you can import the color without having to go figure out what that color is. So that's helpful. That happens with the color of the button, the background of the form, the text, all of that can be edited. The font, I haven't played around with the font. Provide a font family for your contact form. Not sure if that's just any font that you can, if it's a given, like a,
It's gonna be the set of Google fonts that are available pretty much universally.
okay. So I will leave it to you to Google it. But so far, this font works. It's worked for everybody. I haven't seen too much people what you say that they need specific, but now knowing that
The colors are probably the most important there, Jeremy, just because if you're doing branding, I mean, you can obviously leave it as all of the defaults. It's really simple and easy, but if you're using colors in your branding or specific colors in a campaign, that's where it would be very, very useful from a psychological perspective,
Yeah.
because as people go from page to page, if they see things that are familiar to them, because if you got a page that's, say, Legal Shield purple, and then all of a sudden all your buttons are orange, it
Could throw you off.
creates it it sounds weird, and you wouldn't think maybe it makes a big difference, but it actually does. It makes a
Huge.
significantly statistical difference in people's response.
We had a new lady set up a demo meeting, but I think she found Kex, or I think she went through the website, and through the website it goes straight to Keck. And so he said to me, I think this is a Legal Shield lady. And I was like, all right. So I just Googled her name and I saw a picture of her, but in the background it had Legal Shield colors. And just looking at her photo and the background colors that she was using, I was almost 99% that she was Legal Shield. It took me, what, a couple of different Google searches with the word Legal Shield in it that essentially brought me to something where she put, I think it was like a Facebook page that she mentioned something about Legal Shield, and I was like, yeah, this is 100% Legal Shield. So with that said, yes, colors for branding are huge, I would say. Let me see, got that message as well. Thank you, Estella. But yeah, so definitely you want to tie in your colors, to what you're working with, or if you want to match, the colors that the lead magnet is using, whether if it's from the PDF or whatever it may be. Yeah, you can update the colors. You can actually dictate how much the pop-up, right, stays in seconds if you stay longer, that kind of thing. These are all things that what I suggest if you're doing these, that, get open up your Google, go to your Drive. You can go to essentially Google Drive, and then you have more options. And then there you'll see Google Sites. So with that, you can then create basically what I have as one of these. So let me go to the page, and then you can edit it. Let me open preview, copy, open in a new tab. And so here you can make changes to it, you can add a bunch. Let's see, let's embed text, and then let's grab this form. There's the preview. Copy the code to the clipboard. Then let's go to embed the code and give her a paste. Hit next. See if there may be an error with the code. Edit or try again. Ta-da! So is this the form? I'm not sure why it showed up there, but Jesus. This I think is the old one, or is this the new one? Preview. Internet could be slow. Whenever you're ready. There she goes. So is this? Oh, is that the old one? That's the old one. This would be the new one. And so you could put information in there. You can put in the zip code if you wish. You can then say yes, so, and then you can submit this information. Now, to do the lead magnet one, I'm pretty sure you can do the redirect URL to Google Drive where the PDF is hosted. And then that way they can go right to the PDF. Or if the PDF is already hosted, you can drop that link into there. That'll take them to the PDF that they were looking for. And then you've essentially done your job. You've captured their information. You got more detailed information. And then you give them what they want. And hopefully you can later on, have a conversation with them, talk to them about the email or about the PDF that they took. And then hopefully through that, listen to pain points, maybe align a specific product with them. I can see you doing these for like work for home opportunities. You could set up one for like a work from home opportunity. If you guys do online books on maybe like do an online book about this work home opportunity, like your experience with Legal Shield and how you've been able to, make a side income from the efforts of Legal Shield. And so you could probably put a, relatively nice little ebook together utilizing Canva, utilizing ChatGPT. Then you now have something in which you can go to social media and go to other sites and post and hopefully attract people to your book, seeing some of your insights. And then once these people go right into your CRM, You can then follow up with an action plan that talks to them about the opportunity. You can follow up with them and see if this is a good opportunity, if it's like a right fit for them. And then there you go. But this is the new part, and I'm pretty sure this will get the hamster wheel cranking as to. So I have this one gentleman, he does probate for his website, the probate doctor. So none of these go to our CRM. So when talking to him, I was like, well, we need to get these into these need to be our forms, not the website's forms. And so he totally understands, but now he can do these options. Type your home desired. You can now select what kind of home you're looking for. You can put in a time frame. You can set up the best time to call you. Is there any financing? Yes or no? And then now you can submit this information. And this is a way better form instead of just, what's your name number, put your information here. So like this one, it says enter your name, enter your phone number. I like this additional stuff here. It's people to, you prompt them to get their information as much. We have it split up so you don't put the full name, but either way, relationship to property. So if you're the seller, these are all the options. So with the new form that we have, it'll support this kind of stuff. And so that's an example for you guys to take a look at. But essentially, this is new. And we hope that you guys have some type of and utilize it wherever you can. But don't know if anybody has any questions in regards to the form. It's pretty straightforward. If you haven't played around with it, I would suggest going, logging into your Google and then going and creating like a little test site. If you haven't seen this site, Google Sites in general, it's pretty cool in the sense how you can build yourself for cheap. Gives you a couple of layouts that you guys can follow, right? You can insert pictures and, if you wanted this to be a product, or I guess maybe this would be good for like products or different plans, CDLP, home business, things like that, right? Just so that you have a place to where people can view and then they can see some of your branding. So hopefully have some photos, maybe some colors, that relate to you. And this is free. Once you get done with styling this and everything like that, you can preview it, you can publish it, and now you got a website. It'll be hosted, let me see, kind of like this, Google Sites, view, latest home. So, really the URL isn't going to be too custom, but if what you're looking for is maybe, testing the waters, just playing around with some stuff, this could be it. You could also link shorten this if you wanted to. And then that way, with some of those other services, you can actually, through that link shortener, depending on if you have like one of their paid products, you can actually change the name to the link, and then you can kind of mask it in some shape or form. But just something to play around with and to know that you guys can now have multiple forms, revisit the ones. I would hit save that way,
Can
save the
can
form.
you put that link in there where we can get to these forms?
It's so like through the CRM.
I guess. However you got to the forms, yes.
Right. So settings, right? So
Hmm.
everybody's got settings down at the bottom, and then you've got My Connections,
Hmm.
and then you'll go to website, and then it's build the contact form.
Hmm.
And then it opens up another page, and then here you can have, so like for the ones that do real estate, right? You could also set up an open house. I've heard a lot of people going to digital forms for open houses. They go and buy one of those plastic little, what is it, those bar menu things, like a little acrylic plastic thing, and then you can kind of like print this. You can kind of set up one of these forms, host it, turn that website into a QR code, and then you can you can do a nice little Canva graphic with the QR code, and then, set a table outside, put some cookies and things like that. And then upon people coming in, they scan it, they put their information in. Now, what's good about this form is you can put things like here, like, do you have an agent? Yes or no? Are you, what's your time frames? What kind of house are you looking for? Are you an investor? Are you, you know what I mean? Like you can get some extra insight out of the people through the forms. So that's something that I've seen people for the real estate side do. And I know some of you guys, you know, tip tap into different areas and things like that. So if you've got other, you know, business that you do, you might be able to set up a contact form, right? And those people would go straight into your CRM, depending on how you set up these tracking fields. Not only can you notify yourself, but you can notify them through action plans and things like that. But yeah, just by going to the settings and hitting my connection, it'll take you to this form, and then you're golden. I think you do have to generate an API key first. So if you haven't done this, basically just do this. You don't have to copy it, right? Because it's not something that you would be using. You would basically just click this, and then you would be able to build your form out. But yeah,
Just don't click it multiple times like every time you go in. Just once you've created your API key, leave it
leave
alone.
it alone. Yeah, no
Or
need to
you
have.
invalidate all your previous forms.
That's correct. Yep, that's a good thing. But yeah,
One of the features, Jeremy, that I think is worthy of pointing out is when you're creating a form, you've got that button that says create a form, but there's also the option to copy an existing form.
hmm
So essentially, you could create your template that has all of the colors in it. Okay, I want all my forms to follow this kind of a format, and you can copy that form and now you can change things. So, for example, you mentioned maybe you've got the same form, but you're posting it on Facebook, you're posting it on LinkedIn, and you want to know where it came from. You can use that source option, lead source option or referral source option to say, here's where this lead came from. And
correct.
so that will help you sort that out and know, okay, yeah, hey, LinkedIn's working real well for me for this, but
Yes.
Facebook not so much. Or, hey, they're both working great. But that just helps you separate all of those out. So the fact that we can now save these, we've always been able to create them, but they were just kind of hanging out there, and it was up to you to say, okay, I need to save this code at least somewhere other than just my website. So if the website gets corrupted or something, I've still got that piece
Yep.
the way I created it, but having this ability makes it a million times more useful.
Yep. And saves you time
Yeah,
because,
yeah.
and if you didn't have any knowledge, which I don't have knowledge, like I'm not going to play around like as if I do. However, whatever I lack in knowledge, I've dumped some of this stuff into ChatGPT and I've said,
GPT.
you know what I mean? Help me.
What do I need to tweak to get this to happen?
Exactly. I've
Yeah.
I've done things like that, or help me change this or customize that, and it'll do that. It'll respit the code, and then you can then dump it back into your little test place, preview it, and if it works, it works, you know. And I've had some
Mhm.
success with that. So I may not know much, you guys may not know not much, but definitely having this feature where it's saved so that it that takes that out of the equation. Now you can basically, and I like your idea with creating one that is like your template, because that's also going to save you time with picking your colors, centering all the buttons, choosing the width, what kind of form you're going to be using, all of that kind of stuff. I could see how you would want to make a template. But for me and the other ones that I've already created, I would just copy the ones that I like, know that it's copied, and then just make edits to the wording and know that it's going to save me time overall. You know what I mean? Not having to go from scratch and all of that kind of stuff. So that is what I got for you guys today. I hope everybody is having a great or having a good Martin Luther King Day and Inauguration Day. For some people, it might be a sad day. For the majority of the country, it's a good day. A lot of things are going to be happening. So I'm optimistic, to the new next 4 years. And even though I'm in Costa Rica, we feel it. We can feel the difference. I can tell you that. When he said drill, baby, drill, I was like, there was a time where because we pay per liter for diesel and gasoline. And then once that Russian war took on, like the Ukraine war and that kind of stuff, they started saying the prices were going to go through the roof. And they definitely did. And then I saw a news report that it wasn't the war that really kind of caused the diesel to go up. And I was just like, well, then what's going on? Why is the prices so high? So hopefully, you know, you guys be drilling, we get some affordable diesel because I remember when I could fill my tank for like 30 bucks, 30, $40. No, 60 to $80. But now it's like 120. That's
Get
crazy.
out.
Yeah. So
How many
yes,
gallons? Oh, well, you do
it's a
liters. I don't.
we do liters, so it's a like I think I got 35 gallons, but that's like 100 and something liters. So with just
Mhm.
filling the tank with 100 liters, whatever the per liter amount is, just times that. And so it definitely, you can definitely feel it. You can definitely feel
Mhm.
it. So hopefully things, go back to normal. Hopefully things get cheaper for you guys. I know if it gets cheaper for you guys, it'll get cheaper for everybody around the world. But we'll see what happens with this new guy in president or with this new guy in office. And so, but yeah, so today's a big day. I'm glad everybody had a chance to show up.
So
Well, we
Jeremy,
thank you for showing up.
Yeah, absolutely.
it, it's 132 liters.
It's 132 liters. Wow,
That's a lot.
that's a lot. Well, I can get some distance if I'm on open highway. I can do like 900 kilometers, which I know you guys don't deal with kilometers. You guys are all straight
I
miles,
don't even have a clue.
like 400 and
You might
something.
as well do this in Spanish, Jeremy. Go ahead.
That's what happens when when you live in the jungle in Central America. We do everything by it's the metric system. And then I'm
Yeah.
We
so
we talk we talk about going to the jungle. Jeremy lives in the jungle.
yeah. I mean, I'm not too jungle, right? Because I'm only 25 minutes away from the
You swing on a grapevine to go to works.
but I wish I did. I wish I did. And I would seriously contemplate it. It's kind of hard. We visit these people out in these farms and things like that because my wife's family used to live over there. And I would walk into the barn and I would just hug every baby cow that I could, all the big cows, all the ones that are no longer babies. You gotta be, you gotta tread nicely, but they're usually, you know, docile animals. But we would just have so much fun. It's just cool. There's little disturbance. You don't really even hear cars or any motorcycles or anything like that driving around. So it's extremely tempting for me just to ditch the city and really get out there. However, in some spots, it's the internet that affects me. If I could get high speed, if I could get what I get here at the house over there, it would be game on. I would be in a polo from here, and then below would be in boots, probably covered in cow dung, because it's so tempting to just live on the farm, raise chickens. But yeah. So, well, it was definitely a pleasure. I don't know if you guys have any questions. You're feel free to ask. I'm always open to questions.
One ask, and I haven't tested the new form with the new code that's coming out from it. I've just got the stuff that's on the old ones that I created. But when you put in a phone number, it
Uh,
wants numbers. If somebody puts their phone number in as, 123-456 dash, so it's like it rejects that. And no, that's my number.
well, you're
So
saying when they put in the dashes,
if they put anything other than
the
numbers,
numbers,
so you have to leave all dashes, all um, uh,
quotes,
brackets,
brackets.
yeah, no, nothing but numbers can go in that field for it to consider it. So what they've basically done is they've said this is a numeric field as opposed to this is a phone number. So anyway, you format your phone number, if it's a correct internationally formatted phone number,
It should
um,
accept it.
it
Okay.
accepts it. And so that would be one change. And I haven't checked with ChatGPT to see if it can make the change in the code, but I will do that. but
I
but that
I've
would be a
played
good
around
default.
I've played around with that and I think you can. Like where you go and you change it within here. I think
Hmm.
because the button position, property fields drop down. But I remember, yeah, you can make changes to that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What's her name? You are like right here, property search city. So the values of our L, buyer, seller. I remember playing around with this thing a lot
Mm-hmm.
just to see how far you could tweak it because it does say that you can. It says that if you're familiar with DCS or something like that, that you can make right here. Add CC classics in the scripts for more customization. So if you are familiar with this, you can. But I remember playing around with it a lot and getting some things change. But that was I didn't really kind of make notes of it exactly just because I was kind of like walking myself into the woods and spending hours not getting not getting too far. And then so I just left it there. But I do know like if you took it to a web developer, he most likely, if you made requests to him, he could make some changes. And then you always can test it. Although be just going back and forth and so that's why having your own little site and doing it with yourself, at least, you save yourself the cost of having to pay somebody to test all of your little things that you want to test out. And so, but if it's not your wheelhouse, then you're most likely stuck to what the form can give you. But yeah, I've had a little bit of success with tweaking some of those things. And as long as you tweak and then you see where it lands on the contact form with like a test, not going to break anything, I don't think. I haven't broken anything with it. So, but yeah, I'll make that suggestion to them about the phone number. That's something that I haven't played around with. Well, enough to where I see that happen. Usually I just put in information and it just works, but I never really paid attention to like different formats of the numbers and things like that. So,
Yeah.
well, everybody, thank you for showing up and I thank you. And then I guess no holidays for this Thursday coming up, so I'll see everybody there. And so yeah, I think what we're doing for the Thursday is we're doing member upload. We did last Monday we did data upload for just members from Ellis Engaged, and then with this Thursday, because the group has the group and then they have the members, it's going to be part 2 for the members this Thursday. So if you guys want to poke around and watch that, you're welcome to do that. We're going to use like as if it were to come from Shield at Work instead of Ellis Engaged. So, all righty, everybody. A pleasure. Thank you guys for coming. Ciao, ciao, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you, Stella. You have a great day.
You too.
Bye bye now.